There's no mystery as to why I've wanted to be a firefighter for as long as I can remember. My father was a fireman. When I was a kid, I had all the fire-related toys. Besides the usual fire engines, ambulances, and ladder trucks, I had a burning village with burning cellophane on the windows. Over the years, I probably saved 100,000 people, mostly women and girls. I didn't want any other toys for Christmas or birthdays. The only exception was stuffed toys. I had 7 Dalmatians of various sizes. My closet has a whole collection of firefighting gear from size 3 and up. My name is Butch Davis. I didn't take the last name Butch until it passed to me when my father died. I was 12 at the time. He ran into a burning factory where dozens of people were trapped. After rescuing more than 10 workers, the ceiling collapsed on him and 3 others. We're told the end was swift and he didn't suffer much. I hope that was the case. One of the local fire stations is named in his honor. Losing my father gave me a variety of painful emotions, but one thing surprised me the most: anger. I was angry at the fire. I felt like the fire had intentionally challenged me to do something to take my father away. I had nightmares about a flaming figure laughing at me as I sprayed it with a huge fire hose. My spraying was always ineffective. Each time, I woke up with the firm intention of revenge. All through high school, I prepared for my future vocation by studying science, keeping myself in shape and spending time at the firehouse. My mother begged me to develop other interests, including girls. I gave in and dated a few girls. Nothing serious happened until I met Jennifer. We hit it off from the start, attractive, caring, and she loved me. She seemed to like my single-minded desire to serve the community, and later she certainly took advantage of my trim body. After spending most of the last 2 years of high school together, we decided to get married. She got a job as an accountant after doing well in her accounting courses in high school. I applied for a job as a firefighter. We had a garage apartment in my mother's house. I was accepted into the fire department and started training almost immediately. Jennifer was proud to see me in my first real firefighter costume. At first, when I started working regular shifts, Jennifer didn't complain. Going into our marriage, she knew I would be working odd shifts. We enjoyed each other no matter what time of day my schedule allowed me to be home. In a few years, with normal pay raises and promotions, we could afford to move into a small starter home. More importantly, Jennifer stopped taking the pill. 10 months later, we were blessed with the most beautiful baby girl in the world. We named her Virginia Louise in honor of her 2 grandmothers. There were now 2 loves in my life. Jennifer's views on our marriage began to change after our baby was born. First, although she had a normal pregnancy, Jennifer stated that she didn't want to go through that again. She pressured me to get a vasectomy because taking the pill made it difficult for her to maintain her ideal weight, and condoms reduced her pleasure. We could always adopt if we wanted more children. My interaction with Jennifer became more valuable to her because of the amount of time she had to spend with our young daughter. She needed my help with the baby, but she also didn't want to lose time with me. In addition, I began to hear more and more often that she was worried that I might get hurt or killed on the job, leaving her alone to take care of Virginia. I brushed off her concerns. For as long as she had known me, she knew I was going to be a firefighter. She was going to have to adjust. My disrespect for her concerns was a big mistake on my part. A couple years later, I went to cross-train as an EMT. Within 2 weeks, I was spending regular evenings at home. Jennifer was thrilled. I got to play every night with Virginia, and I got to play later every night with Jennifer. Jennifer said often and emphatically that that's the way it should be. She and I both regretted it when I went back to a regular schedule. It didn't seem to matter much to Jennifer that my being in the ambulance as an EMT meant that I would have less chance of being exposed to danger. She said that all emergency responders were in danger. When Virginia was old enough to go to school, Jennifer went back to work. She learned that she had a new supervisor who had recently moved here. Jennifer said he seemed like a very nice man who was raising a girl Virginia's age after losing his wife in a car accident. His move here was partly motivated by a desire to get away from a town with too many memories of his wife. Jennifer said he often had a sad expression on his face. She expressed regret for his situation. I didn't see a red flag. Time went by. I continued to be consumed with my work and spending as much free time with Virginia as possible. I didn't notice that my time and expressions of affection for Jennifer diminished during this time. I agreed under the assumption that we were a typical family, and it would always be that way. That was my feeling until I received the divorce papers. After being served at the fire station, I took a sick day and drove home to talk to Jennifer. She was finishing packing. I couldn't find the words, and she had a lot of words. You must be shocked because you had no idea about our marriage for years. My concerns for your safety and the fact that you willingly sacrificed time with me just meant nothing to you. And don't you dare say, I didn't see that coming. It was done for you to see. You just chose not to see. Here's the thing. When Art became my boss, we bonded. He was suffering from the loss of his wife. I suffered the loss of time with my husband. We both had daughters the same age that we mostly raised on our own. They go to the same school and after-school clubs. Initially, we talked mostly about them. I lamented how little time you had for our daughter and even less for me, and don't you dare equate the time you played with her at night with what I had to do with her the rest of the time. Art and I used to talk to each other. Remember when you and I used to do that? Art and I comforted each other. We cried together. We hugged each other sympathetically. Eventually, we fell in love. Honestly, I was ready to take our love to a physical level much sooner than he was. He kept saying he couldn't stand to be the reason for the breakup of the marriage. I finally convinced him that I was going to divorce you whether he and I had sex or not. He gave in, and we've been close for a couple months now. It all boils down to this. He's the one I want now. I'm sorry for doing this to you, mostly because of Virginia. I know you love her, and she loves you. I will give you virtually unlimited access to her, regardless of the court's decision. The settlement agreement I proposed in the petition is fair. You get the house, I keep my car, you pay child support, I get no child support, and we split the assets 50-50. Virginia and I move in with Art and his daughter Chloe. The address is on the divorce petition. Regardless of what you think, Art is a good man. He and Virginia get along well. Virginia and his daughter already act like sisters. Although he was hesitant to support my divorce, he's glad things are finally coming to light. He hopes you and he can be civil to each other. There's a good chance of that. I was hoping you'd react better, but I think emotions are too raw right now. Once you take some time with this, I think you'll realize that in the long run it's better for all of us, including Virginia. And how exactly is it better for her? She'll still have you as her father, and she'll still have a father figure who is truly present for the important events in her life. Damn it, Butch. She deserves more than you're able to give her. Don't you see that? I guess not. Let me know when you want to see Virginia. She already knows what we're doing. Please understand the tension she's under and try not to make it worse. Jennifer headed for the door. You pull a divorce petition out of your ass and tell me not to stress her out. Of all things. Goodbye, Butch. Jennifer's gone. I called a divorce lawyer and asked how I could burn the bitch down. I was told that what she was offering was probably the best I could hope for. I could pay him to delay the divorce, but the final terms were unlikely to get any better. Only the wallets of the two lawyers would benefit. I signed the damn papers. Our marriage broke up with a sob, not a bang. I developed a relationship with bourbon until my boss told me it was either the booze or my job, not both. I gave up drinking. What I didn't quit was hurting or plotting revenge. I just couldn't think of any way to get revenge without directly or indirectly hurting my daughter. Virginia, however, hurt me more and more every time I saw her. She was reluctant to go anywhere with me unless her new sister, Chloe, could go too. When I heard her call Art Daddy, it broke my heart into pieces that hadn't been shattered yet. The first time she canceled a date with me because of an important family event did it for me. I couldn't bring myself to schedule another visit. Jennifer found some appropriate words for me to dump my child. I found some choice words for Jennifer and the jerk ruining my life. I tried to focus on my job, the job I was born to do, the job I'd always dreamed of, the job that cost me my family. In truth, I can't really blame the job so much as the fact that I let it consume me. I willingly admit my guilt about that. For all my dedication to my duty, it's fair to say that most of my work was boring. I usually drove an ambulance. A few times they had me working as a firefighter, but 90% of the time I was an EMT. Most of our ambulance runs were for either dead or dying people. Too many runs were only because the person was so large or physically disabled that they had no other means of medical transportation. Sometimes we had to perform CPR on a person who would have died sooner without us. Usually they died within the next few days. Then there were the dehydrated people who were administered saline. We were rarely called to where there was a fire, and even more rarely did we treat people for scrapes, cuts, or smoke inhalation. Like I said, boring, that is, until... The alarm clock rang and I ran to the ambulance. Pulling into the driveway, I got the address of Virginia's after-school circle. Shit. My daughter would be there at that time. I put the pedal to the floor. I rammed a couple of cars that just had to try to make it through the intersection before the ambulance arrived. "Sue me, assholes!" I made my way through the stream of cars and took the last corner on two wheels. The sight I saw shook me to the core. Flames were shooting out of several windows of the Circle building. I parked the ambulance and ran up to a group of kids and a teacher I knew. "Where is Virginia?" "She and a few others are still inside. Please help them." Before she could even finish her sentence, I was already on the move. I ran through the open door, unsure of what I was about to run into. Flames erupted around the door jamb and I was burned. I'm not sure how I broke down the door to the classroom, but I did. There was a teacher lying on the floor. I told her to get the kids to crawl out the door. She and the kids headed for the exit when I heard, "Daddy, Daddy, help me." It was Virginia. A bookshelf had fallen on top of her. I picked it up like it was made of paper. I grabbed my daughter and pulled her outside. I picked her up under my arm and ran on my knees to the door, trying not to inhale the smoke. When we got to the front door, the teacher and the other kids were still there. The flames around the door were preventing them from getting out. Remembering what I saw when I walked in, I realized I should just shoo them out the door. They were too frightened by the flames to try to get out. There was no time to convince them to just run through it quickly. I threw the teacher out first and then started throwing the kids out the door, hoping the teacher or someone else would be there to get them away from the building. Virginia and I were the last ones out, and my ass was literally on fire. Once outside, I sat on my butt and breathed the fresh air. I felt great. This is what I had been practicing for. This is what I practiced with my toys as a kid. It was... Virginia interrupted my self-praise. "Daddy, Chloe's still in there." "Oh, please, dear Lord, let her be wrong." I looked at the teacher who was examining the rescued children. She looked at me with intense fear and screamed. She had gone to the bathroom before the fire broke out. I immediately pleaded, "Daddy, I'm coming. Either help me through this or prepare a place for me. If I die, I'll be there in time for dinner." Before I could move forward, my boss grabbed me. "Damn it, Butch, I order you not to go back in there. You'll just get yourself killed. You hear me?" I lowered myself sharply as if submitting to him, resigning myself to the facts. Then I turned around and hit the chief with my fist. He went down. I put on his fire jacket, helmet, and oxygen supply. I ran toward the door, which was now completely engulfed in flames. I was wearing only my normal pants and shoes on my legs. As a result, my left leg and foot were burned upon entering the building. I could tell I howled from the pain and the nauseating smell of burning flesh. I soon realized that I was short of oxygen. The plastic tubing going from the mask to the oxygen tank had melted. I took off my mask and it felt like I was breathing flames. I strained my memory to recall the location of the restroom. Somehow I ignored the flames, opened the door to the restroom, and immediately closed it back. The toilet gave me a brief respite. Chloe was lying on the floor, unconscious but breathing. I grabbed one of the towels from the toilet and threw it into the sink, trying to get as many wet as possible. After wrapping Chloe, especially her head, in the towel, I took her under my right arm and tried to direct Walter Payton, who had interrupted a roll-up, and score a touchdown. The flames acted like waiting halfbacks. Holding the falling hot debris with my left hand, I yelled, "Fuck you, fire! This belongs to me!" Somehow, and I really don't know how, I managed to get out before I passed out. I had a dream. My face was a lump of fat sizzling in a pan and I couldn't get it off. I shuddered and woke up. "Doctor, he's awake!" The voice was familiar. I opened my eyes. It was my ex-wife, Jennifer. The medical staff came running. A nurse asked, "Mr. Davis, can you hear me?" I gestured for the nurse to come closer. I whispered as loud as I could, "Get that bitch out of here or I'll sue you for $1 million." It wasn't what the nurse expected to hear, but a crying Jennifer was led out. I gave orders that I didn't want to see anyone but my fire department. I wanted to see Virginia, but I didn't want her to see me. Not in the shape I was in at the time. I was surprisingly happy for two main reasons. They told me Chloe was alive, and I had morphine shots. Over the next few months, I went through multiple surgeries and skin grafts. My left leg was amputated, and my left arm and the left side of my face were badly burned. I could get a job at The Walking Dead, and I wouldn't have to wear makeup. The only visitors were firemen who told me how much better I looked now. Smart guys. I loved them all. The city insurance company paid all my medical and rehab bills. I've been given awards for bravery, but the best award I got was from Virginia and Chloe. They awarded me Dad of the Year. I plan to keep the certificate they created and colored for the rest of my life. For the rest of my life. What the hell was going to happen now? I couldn't be a firefighter anymore. Too many injuries due to an amputated left leg and an incomplete left arm. I was given a part-time job with the EOC as a dispatcher to help supplement my disability payments. This made me happy. I was able to keep Jennifer and Art away from me. I rejected all verbal and written attempts to contact me. To hell with them, their thanks and apologies. I didn't do it for them. However, they did manage to indirectly convey some surprising information to me. One of the firemen who arrived informed me, "Dude, you're not going to believe this. The bastard who stole your wife and whose daughter you saved just joined the fire department. You could have told me that the entire media has become Trump supporters, and I would have believed it sooner than what I just heard. I should have asked for more information. Yes, he says there is no way he could repay you for saving his daughter, but he could repay the department and the community for the loss of a firefighter. He says he knows he can never be as good a firefighter as you, but he'll try his best. Don't worry, Butch. We told him a lot of shit about what he did to you. He can't. No. Leave him alone. In fact, I want you to help him. Dude, did you give yourself too much morphine? He stole your wife and daughter." I smiled and said, "Think about it. My wife left me for him in part because I was a firefighter and he wasn't. That's right. I can't think of a better revenge on her. She can't help but be a hypocrite. I like that. I'm also getting revenge on Art. He should live the rest of his life knowing that the man he stole his wife from saved his precious daughter. I think I am the luckiest cripple on earth." I smiled so hard that the burned part of my face hurt. I injected more morphine rather than stop grinning. Now that my spirits were up, I decided I was ready to meet people, or rather let them see me. First, I asked to see Art, which hopefully pissed my ex off a lot. I was getting better. Art came in crying like a baby. "Butch, I owe you so much. I'll do anything I can for you. Just ask me. You refused to let me help pay your bills. I didn't know what to do. I just had to do something. My guilt for falling in love with your wife and also my gratitude for you saving my Chloe both were in my thoughts constantly, day and night. That's when I got the idea to become a fireman. If I can't repay you, I can at least give something back to the community for their loss." He seemed completely sincere as he continued to cry. Then he pulled himself together. "Please let me bring Chloe in. She's dying to thank you." I agreed. Chloe appeared in the doorway, but she wouldn't have moved without Virginia. They both ran over to my bed and were delighted to see their Best Dad certificate proudly displayed. After they looked at me, Chloe said, "You look intimidating." Virginia agreed. I laughed while Art rebuked them. I said, "You're absolutely right, girls. You see, I was once a beautiful prince, and then one day a wicked old witch named Jennifer kissed me and turned me into an ogre." Virginia said, "Daddy, that's silly. We had a wonderful visit. I swear Virginia grew up during the time I was in the hospital. That's when I realized I didn't want to miss anything more of my daughter's upbringing." Art came back a few times with the girls, but we also got to know each other better. I'll be damned if I didn't start to really like this guy. It helped that he never asked me if I'd agree to talk to Jennifer. He rarely mentioned her at all. On one of his last visits, I brought up a subject I'd been thinking about for a long time. "Art, I hope we can get my visitation schedule back on track. If you and Jennifer agree, I'd like to see Virginia more often now that I'm not a firefighter." Well, that would be more than acceptable for several reasons. One is that I'm a firefighter now, and you know what that means in terms of schedule. The other is that Jennifer left me and the girls. She said she's filing for divorce. Butch, I think she fooled us both. She may have fooled herself. She thought our work schedules were hurting our marriages and time with the girls. I've now come to the conclusion that she was just nagging because all the attention wasn't on her. When she couldn't convince me not to become a firefighter, she just got up and left. I know I need help with Virginia and Chloe. Your mother and Jennifer's mother are helping out temporarily. Also, in case you haven't figured it out yet, Virginia and Chloe are now an inseparable couple. You can't have one without the other. How could she just leave Virginia? And she must have gotten a little close to Chloe, too. I think Jennifer got jealous of Chloe. Virginia wanted to spend time with Chloe, not her mother. Jennifer seemed to be on her own, even when the four of us lived in the same house. Her last comment after telling me she didn't want custody was, "Girls seem to prefer their fathers anyway. Well, they can have you both." Damn, Art, you're right. She was even more spoiled than I thought. Art cried again. Art, Virginia and I will do everything we can to help you and Chloe. Epilogue. As I write this story, Virginia and Chloe are about to graduate from high school and go to college. I have moved in with Art and the girls after rehab. The guys in the fire department chipped in and bought me a specially equipped minivan. Art was the biggest contributor. He's a really good man and has become a great firefighter. With my help, of course. We gave up parenting and domestic duties. As you can imagine, given my limitations, it takes me longer to do my share of the work. Fortunately, we have found a couple of ladies who can handle the challenges our girls' only daughters have faced. They also fulfill the sexual needs that Art and I had. I am in the process of moving back into my old house that I have been renting out. Art and I will probably have new roommates once the girls go to college. I imagine we'll be seeing each other a lot. Unfortunately, I try to fit everything I can into as little time as possible. The aftermath of the fire included burns to my esophagus and lungs from fire and smoke inhalation. I was given 6 months or so to live. I haven't told anyone. I don't want anyone to know until I can't hide it anymore. Jennifer's mom still sees Virginia and Chloe often. She keeps us informed about Jennifer. The last thing she said was that Jennifer had another child, but she divorced his father. It seems he cheated on her. I was trying to be sympathetic. Well, maybe not so much. From my perspective, my mug rescue had allowed me to get my revenge on Jennifer and Art for over a decade. I'll have to settle for that. The damn fire managed to ruin my revenge on him. Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Sorry, Dad. I'll talk to you soon.